Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first episode of VR Basic Bytes. My name is Mark Suter. I'm a high school teacher in Ohio, teaching game design, programming, multimedia, all of the fun things, and some Microsoft Office, the less fun things. You can only teach Excel so many times. But the whole point of this series is going to be to help people that are basically brand new to VR development. Using Unity. And I'm going to be showing you how to get started. In this episode, we're going to set up the headset. We're going to download a starter project from the Unity website and get all the details sorted out so that in the next episode, we can actually make something that's really cool. So I'm going to share my screen here. And if you ever need to see past episodes, and welcome those of you that are watching this on recording, if you need to watch past episodes, you can always go to vrbasicbytes.com, bytes with a Y. And you can see, let me share this screen here. These are the show notes, and it's, you have full access to all the show notes. And this is what I look at when I'm going to be going through these things. And just kind of explain, you can see the stream on any of these platforms here. Also on vrbasicbytes.com. Some really helpful links. Particularly, this is what we're going to download first to get started. Kenny.nl is where this person puts together some really awesome low poly 3D models that are great for VR. Doesn't make it lag. This GitHub is going to be where you'll be able to download my project at any point. So if you show up weeks from now and feel very behind, I'm going to be working on one Unity project the whole time. This link's actually going to change. I should probably uh, remove that for now. I'm going to put a new link in there. Um, and it's great if you want to just learn Unity, the interface. I'll teach you everything you need to know, but the Create with VR course will get you a lot of the basics that I'm going to cover along the way. And Create with Code will get you very familiar with Unity and some basic coding. We're not doing any coding today, but in future episodes, we'll do some very basic coding. Again, this whole course is aimed at beginners, so students, past, present, and future, adults, and I consider myself always a student, sometimes a teacher, because there's always new things to be learning, which is fun. So, basically, today we're going to set up by downloading the initial project. So, if you go to vrbasicbytes.com with the Y and go to the show notes, you'll see this link here. And this will take you to the Unity Learn website, which is a great website for learning basic VR development. Carl walks you through everything. But what we're really interested in today is in section 1.1 is where they give you the zip file. And this is a Unity project that is zipped up and compressed. And I've already downloaded this ahead of time just for the sake of time. And then once you get it, of course, you're going to right click and extract it. And that'll give us this folder. Now, the project is actually buried a few folders deep, but we're going to move it here in just a second. There's the actual project itself. But I want to show you not just jumping right into Unity, because what I do with my high school students is I have them all set up a GitHub account using Github Desktop. And that's software that we use to not just back up your project, you push your changes and it sends them up to the cloud. And then so they could work on it at school, push the changes to the cloud, and then go to home. And if they want to work on it at home, they can pull the changes and get the most recent version of their project. I'm going to be using it so that anybody that watches these past or, not past, how's that going to work? In the future, that they would be able to have access to the project as I build it. I'm going to have a practice version and then like my live version, but this is kind of a dress rehearsal. So we're kind of making it up as we go. But this is how I would get started with my students. So you would also install GitHub Desktop, and this looks like overwhelming, I understand. So we're just going to create a new repository. And all a repository is on your computer is basically a folder that is being watched by the software. So any little change you make, you add an image to the folder, you change some text in a text file or a C# script, it's going to notice that change. And that's what's great about this software, because then you can push those changes to the cloud. So we're going to go to File, New Repository, and I'm going to call this VR Basic Bytes Practice. And I have an SSD, so I'm going to be using that. My Scratch, VR Basic Bytes. There we go. So there's the folder, there's the name of the project. And I always initialize with a README. That's just a text file that you can put notes to people who view it on GitHub. And then we really want to use a git ignore. All this is going to do is when Unity starts up, it creates a whole bunch of files that are basically temp files, temporary files that it doesn't really need. It needs it while you're running it, but you could delete them in between running the program and it wouldn't matter. So instead of backing up all the files, thousands of files, it's only going to back up the files it really needs to run the program, because each time it runs the program, it regenerates those anyways. As far as license, I pick MIT just because it sounds smart, and in honor of my friend Luis, who just left there. And let's create repository. So now, if I go to, I'm going to copy this, by the way, this extracted folder. When you see the assets, packages, and project settings, you're in the right place. So this is our Unity project right here. Instead of opening it in Unity, I'm first going to put it inside of this repository, which, remember, is just a folder that is being watched. But by putting inside the repository, we can back it up and all that fun stuff. So I copied the actual project guts. And then I'm going to go to where my repository is. This is that special folder that GitHub Desktop is watching. And you'll see some various files in here. And I'm just going to paste right inside of there. There's a lot of files, 1,500 files. Um, while that's finishing, okay. So now if I were to go back to GitHub Desktop, it'll say, whoa, there's a whole bunch of new files in there. So watch. It sees a whole bunch of new files. And in this starter project, the reason we're using this is it already has all of the scripts that we're going to be using to be able to pick up objects, using snap zones, sockets, placing items into sockets and they snap into place. Um, and so each time you make changes and you're done editing for the day, or your students are, you want to commit the changes, which is basically just saying, yep, I'm happy with these changes. I want to officially adopt these changes. So I'm going to just call this initial commit, which is typically what you do on the very first one, and hit commit to main. And then right now it says publish, and that's only for the first time. So as soon as it's done looking at all these files and basically saying, okay, I see all the changes you made, I'm committing those changes, that's going to clear out this whole left side. It's going to look very fresh. And then we're going to publish it. And then that'll give me something to put in that link that I showed you earlier. So there's publish. You have to uncheck keep this code private unless you're going to pay for GitHub. But also so I can share that with all of you. And I don't have an organization. So I'm going to publish that. And now it's going to be pushing those changes to the cloud. But while that's happening, we can actually move into the next step, which is going to be opening Unity and telling it where this project is. Since we didn't start from scratch with a brand new project, you'll see why here in a second, because we don't have to set up all the VR stuff. That's basically what we're doing. So I'm using Unity Hub 3.01. And for this project, I'll be using Unity version 2020.3 something. If you're brand new to Unity, you're probably kind of wondering what's going on, but the hub is basically where you manage your projects. So you can make a brand new project with these. They have lots of cool little templates that you can pick from, which I'm not going to do right now. But since I already have a project, but it's not in my recently used list, I need to go to this little drop down and say add project from disk. If you're on a Unity Hub version that has like a light background or a white background, you'll just hit the button that says add. But so mine is add project from disk. And all I need to do is tell it where is that project. So this is my SSD solid state drive. There's my folder. It's a repo, but it's also my Unity project. So when you're looking at the assets folder, you know you're in the right place. So that's where you want to be when you say add project. And so here we are. And it's going to yell at me when I try to open it because it's a very minor difference in what the original person that made this project and what version I have in Unity. But as long as you're on like 2020.3 something, it doesn't really matter. And if you don't have it, you can always go to installs. And there's all these different editors you could install. I have plenty of editors installed that are close enough to the version that I want. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that, and it's going to say, whoa, it was created in this version. All right, fine. I'm going to pick one very, very close to it and open with that. And it freaks out a little bit. Yep, we're okay. We're going to change version. And it'll take a minute to open up. Yep, see, it's yelling at me again. It was saved in 2020.3.1F1, but you're using 2020.3.14. Doesn't matter. It's close enough. There's not enough changes that will affect any of the things that we're doing. So while that is opening, why don't we fix this GitHub thing? Well, it's not broken, but if I go to a repository view on GitHub, it should, there we go, launch this web browser, and there is my project live on the internet, right? And so if somebody visited this URL, which I'm going to copy and put in the show notes, they could go here, download the zip, extract it, run it in Unity, and they'd be right up to date with what I'm doing. So that's the beauty of using GitHub is if you're behind, it doesn't matter. This is like the cheat project, right? So the practice one is where I'm well, I'm usually going to be doing stuff before I go live, but this is just a dress rehearsal, right? So we're just kind of winging it. So I grabbed that link. I'm going to go to the show notes, and here is the Bytes uh, practice. This is going to be the GitHub link that you could download and just start right from here. So link, Control V, paste. There we go. So on vrbasicbytes.com, you can go to the show notes, and there you go. There's your most recent up-to-date um, project, and that'll be updated every time I work on this. So we accomplished step A, downloading the starter project. We used GitHub to make a new repo, which is that folder that it's watching. And then we copied the guts of our starter project into that repo, and we even did a commit and push. Now, see, it's this little progress bar is very slow. So it's taken a while to open that up, and that's because there's a lot of files in there. And by the way, if you scroll down in the show notes, you'll notice upcoming episodes. And a lot of these are inspired by my students' projects that they've done or tried to make and ran into problems or whatever. But they're basic. Um, if you do the Create with VR course on Unity that's linked up here, I'm basically taking what they teach you and then just adding a few side things here and there, some simple scripts, and just interesting ways to use what they teach you. Um, but all of these um, future episodes there are listed. And by the way, I forgot to mention, sorry, this show, I actually got a sponsor. Can you believe that? Um, Social Media Week Lima is this conference in Lima where basically the smartest marketing people I know go and they speak about social media. One of my former students has actually attended that before last summer. I attended that, but you can get tickets for that. It's in Lima, Ohio, which is surrounded by cornfields, basically. But it's one of the best social media conferences that you're going to find. So thank you so much to the Now Marketing Group for sponsoring this, which is, by the way, how I'm able to broadcast to multiple destinations. I'm using a software called StreamYard. It's a website, basically. So on my second monitor over here, I have StreamYard and lots of buttons to click. Anyways, the project is open. Excuse me. Let's look at the quest now. When you first open up Unity, I'm assuming you've used Unity before, and I really don't like this layout. I use the layout that they show you in the Create with Code. So I made a layout and then I saved this layout. Um, and so this is the one I like with the inspector on the side. So all my properties are over there. Um, and then my project panel here. And I actually like putting my console down here. And so the top view is where we build, right? And then the bottom view is where you'll see the game. I'm going to hit maximize so I don't forget. And I'm going to slide this over so I can see the names of things. So the only scene we really care about today is this Create with VR starter scene. And what you're looking at here is, and I'm using WASD, when I hold the right mouse button, I can like fly around. Basically this yellow cube, I think it's yellow. I'm colorblind, right? I think more software should have, cater to the colorblind, right? It's 10% of males or something. I don't know. That yellow box is basically when you go into VR, that's your space, right, around you. So that's roughly the area you have to play. And to even use, I'm using the Oculus Quest 2, and I'm already plugged in. And by the way, this is not the cable it comes with. It comes with a 3-foot roughly cable. And unless your tower is like right up here on your desk, you're going to have problems. You're going to have to get an aftermarket. The official one, the link cable is like $70 or $80. This is a third party one for like $15 on Amazon. I will try to remember to add to the show notes the link to the Amazon product that I actually bought. I've bought several of these and these work. So it's USB-C on the Oculus side, of course, but then it's only USB 2 or 3 on the other side. So I don't even have a USB-C port on my computer, but this works great. So um, before you're able to do anything, the first time you plug in your headset, assuming you've set up your Oculus, you got to tie it to a Facebook account, which don't tell Facebook, but I broke the terms of service and I just made a dummy account for school. And then I add all of when my students plug in their headsets, I've a set of headsets in my classroom, same ones. Um, I just log in on this dummy Facebook account. That's the only time you need it is the first time that you launch. Um, After that, it doesn't care anymore. You can run the Oculus software, which is running here, and you have to be running the software when you plan on hitting play and testing out the app that you're going to be building. But the first thing you need to do, and I tried this out earlier, I was going to show you what you see when you cast, but it was very, very laggy, and I don't think it's a good idea. But the first time you plug in your headset, and assuming you can put on the headset and you're in the home area, when you plug it in, it's going to ask for data. You can deny that. It doesn't need that. But if it prompts you and says enable Oculus Link, you want to say yes. If you don't see that, I'll maybe put another thing in the show notes. You click basically on where the battery thing is in the bottom left, that icon, and then there should be an enable Oculus Link button there. And so my headset is on, and I am currently looking at non-Oculus Link. And so I can, like I said, click on where basically the clock, you got all your apps at the bottom. I know you can't see what I see right now, but the casting was not happening earlier. But when you click on the time/Wi-Fi signal/battery symbol, there should be an Oculus Link button. And as soon as you do that, you leave your normal home environment that you're used to launching games from, and it takes you to the Oculus Link environment, and you'll know you're there because your panel at the bottom is like a silver band instead of the typical menu that you see. And you're in this like open is just like ceiling tiles and floor tiles. And oh nope, now I'm in a place I can see around. I'm in a mountain retreat of some kind. But you have to enable that Oculus Link for anything to happen. And if I hit play right now, I'm not going to see anything in my headset because there's one step we need to take care of, which is go to Edit, Project Settings. And over here on the left side, XR Plugin Management, you just need to check mark Oculus. And close out that. Now it knows I'm using the Oculus. The Oculus app has to be running. And now when I hit play, with any luck, within a few seconds, it should push what you're seeing in Unity to my headset in VR. Hey, there we go. Can you see? Yeah, you can see that. My other headset or controller's over there, but I'm just holding one. So this is like the starting point. This is where we begin. We have a sphere for a hand. We have a laser coming out of it. I can't do anything. I can't teleport. The buttons don't do anything. But this is what we accomplished actually in my classroom just yesterday. Happy belated Valentine's Day to everyone, by the way. But that is what we accomplished in my classroom yesterday, which is a big feat. Because once you get your students to this point where they can hit play and they can see it in their headset, things start to speed up. It starts to get a lot more fun. Yeah, I know that setup is kind of a pain. It's there's a bunch of steps involved. I get it. But once you get there, it's a heck of a lot of fun. So we talked about the settings, the Unity settings, turning on that Oculus check mark there in the project settings. And the last thing I want to show you, and this is going to be a short live stream, I realize, is on kenny.nl. I want to just kind of peruse this for a minute. If you go to Assets and click on 3D, check all these things out. So one that we're going to be using for the next episode, which is going to be basically you throw a ball and knock down cans. And there's also going to be a user interface that keeps score for you. It's a carnival game, right? My plan is to use this food kit because there's like little, I don't know, cans and bottles of stuff that I can stack up. That's just kind of fun. And I'll make just kind of a goofy environment that I'll include for you to download, probably also from him or somewhere similar. But there are all these little 3D models are going to be great. Um, there's lots of fun things. We can build a whole little city, but we're going to be in a carnival, so maybe we'll be in a medieval carnival. That'd be fun. That sounds good. Let's do that. And he just, I don't know if it's a he, but I assume it's a he because of Kenny, but he just provides them for download, and I'll show you how to download and extract and import those into Unity next time. And also, before we go, there's only going to be two Unity projects, the practice one and then the real one. The real one is when I'm going to be doing the live stream. The practice one is when I'm building it, in my spare time to know what I'm going to do during the live stream. But each one of these, if I go to my show notes here, each one of these games, the carnival game, the mini golf, and Kenny has a mini golf set, by the way. Cornhole, which is where you throw bean bags filled with soybeans or corn onto a board. Just look it up. If you don't know what cornhole is, you're missing it. I'm from the country. It's a lot of fun. And then assemble machinery. That's going to be a cool one because I'm going to show you how you can do a mini training simulation. My students and I have some partnerships with local companies to build training simulations for them. And it is realistic enough that when users use our training simulations and then they go to the real world, let's say they're replacing a filter in an HVAC, heating and cooling system. If they use the training simulation, when they get to the real world, it transfers enough. The knowledge transfer is literal enough that they can do it in the real world, having never done it in the real world. But each one of these little projects is just going to be a different folder here in the assets. I'm not going to make a separate project for every single one. I want them to all be together. They're going to share some assets anyways. But all of this stuff came with that starter project. So I don't know if people can comment on this. I'm just learning the StreamYard software anyways, but so I have accomplished the goals that I wanted to accomplish today. So I had some people hopefully trying to view this from the different destinations, see what it looks like on Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, Twitter. I would love to hear from you to see what looked best, what you could comment on. StreamYard is not showing me any comments, but I don't know if people just aren't commenting or I don't know. It says there's 9 people here though. So that's all for today, and I'll add some more to do things here. And I appreciate you coming and witnessing my first live stream. Well, my first solo live stream. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. And the whole reason behind why I'm doing this is I want to continue doing things that are fun, not just for me, but for my students. And I know it can be really intimidating to try to get started. Or you've done the Create with VR course and you're like, okay, now what can I build with it? So this will give you some ideas of some things you can do. So when I do this with my students, once they know how to make a user interface and how to write a script that keeps score, they can apply that to any of their other games, right? So all these things kind of tie in together to my classroom basically, but I also just like making VR stuff. I like talking about it. I like sharing what my students do, etc. So I'm going to call it a night for now. And Betsy's on Facebook and she can comment. Tom says very helpful. He's on YouTube. I see. It gives me a little YouTube symbol, a Facebook one. Helpful about the stage you did today with your students. Yeah. So if you have any questions, there is a Unity Teach Facebook community for educators. I don't approve people that apply to that, but you can apply to that if you're an educator, or you can tweet at me at Garlic Suitor. Same on YouTube. And by the way, the name Garlic, people wonder about that sometimes. That came from about 15 years ago when I wrote a grant to play World of Warcraft with my students in school. It was really just an excuse to get somebody else to pay for World of Warcraft to play at school. And I wanted to be a healer. so I could heal my students in this video game, this massively multiplayer online role playing game. And I thought, well, garlic's healing. It's kind of anti vampire. So why not garlic? And then I just kind of adopted that as kind of like my gamer name, I guess. I don't know. And whatever. So viewing from Facebook, everything's looked good. Oh, thank you, Matt. That's very helpful. All right. Well, I'm going to end the broadcast and thank you so much for coming. And I will put on Facebook, Twitter, all those channels when the next one's going to be. It's typically going to be on Monday or Tuesday nights. And I'm going to do it as often as I can get prepped for them. So that's all for tonight. Everybody have a good evening or a good day wherever you are. Thank you.